The next Xbox Developer Direct is coming later this month. A new post by Reddit user Xantorn, who has been accurate in revealing showcase events in the past, claims that the next Xbox Direct will happen during the week of January 14th. Quote, first Xbox event of the year is going to be the week of the 14th. I can't speak on the Shadow Drop rumors, but the date has now been set in stone. Should it happen that week, it will likely be sometime between the 15th and 19th, as those are the weekdays for that week. It's unlikely Microsoft would hold an event at this point during the weekend. This comes just days after it was spotted online that a developer direct could be happening on January 25th. While we can't confirm the exact date and time just yet, they also understand that an event is scheduled to take place within the next couple of weeks. Okay, we've reached out to Xbox for comment, and it has not been provided yet. But that apparently is happening. I mean, and it makes sense. As for what they drop, I mean, I would love another trailer for like Hellblade. I would love for them to give maybe firmer dates and information on Avowed. I think that could be really cool. There have been rumors that they're going to shadow drop something, kind of like they did with Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush was crazy because it really did come out of nowhere. Not only did nobody know the game existed, nobody knew that it was going to be playable like that day. And I think it actually really helped the game because a lot of people downloaded it because they were just excited. Ooh, a brand new game today and it looks kind of fun. So they downloaded it, played it, and I think that added a much wider player base to that game than it would have otherwise gotten if they had been like, yeah, this is the game and it comes out in a week or in 6 months. I thought it was a brilliant play. And if that became the new staple, that Microsoft just shadow drops stuff like once a year or twice a year during these events, I think that'd be awesome. They don't have to be like big games. Nobody's asking for The Elder Scrolls 6 to be shadow dropped out of nowhere, but even like mid-size or indie games being shadow dropped, I think would be super, super cool. So I'm intrigued. I'm very interested. I hope that this is awesome. Fable, please. Yeah, I would love more information on Fable. I don't know when that's coming though. A lot of places are estimating October of 24. It's also the month other Fable games have been released, so we'd expect to see the pattern continue. It would also make sense because right now they don't really have any big fall releases, so that would be kind of a layup. Yeah, this was the announcement trailer that didn't really give us any information or anything, but this was the trailer from 6 months ago that was awesome. I don't know why people were so mixed on it, honestly. Does anyone know why the response was negative? Why there's like a mixed reaction to this? Because I thought this trailer was awesome. Granted, I am biased. I loved IT Crowd, so I get some brownie points for me. But I thought this was a great trailer. It didn't show us anything of a lot of use, but it looked way better than I thought it would.
Say the true hero is me, someone who's breaking new ground with fruit, with veg, on the agricultural side of things.
Just look at them.
Not wafting around mythical creatures. And that's what they are. Wafters.
Yeah, well done.
You see, I'm not here to slay legendary beasts. I'm here to conquer the vegetable, not a euphemism. Let's face it, the age of heroes is over. This is the age of innovation. This, if you will, is the age of death. One moment.
Like, how
This
is
is awkward.
This is great.
Yeah. Oh.
And so you're saying people were downvoting it because of a quote, ugly female character. I mean, if that's the reason people don't want to play a game because they didn't find the main character bangable enough, then okay, I guess you're going to miss out on a lot of good games. Like, it's moments like that where I'm like, guys, do you need a hug? Do you need a hug? Go get laid. Like, some people just have too much pent up, let's just say passion, and they need to expel it somehow. I will agree. Some of the faces like occasionally look a little off. Like it kind of reminds me of the kind of creation engine look where sometimes their eyes are a little off. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's like that there's not enough reflection in them or something, but like looking at her, I don't find her like ugly. I don't know. Am I just a boomer? Am I not hip with the kids anymore? This seems like a really stupid reason to downvote a trailer that otherwise looks great. I feel like I'm just missing something. If you don't want to play the game because you don't find this, and who knows, maybe the player characters are customizable. We don't know yet, but like, it's just so freaking stupid. Yeah, there's no gameplay. Absolutely. Like, nobody's saying that you should like pre-order the game based off of this. I think the trailer does a really good job of setting a tone, and it's a really unique trailer that I think is interesting. You know, there's stuff like this that they show, and there's questions as to whether this is a cutscene or if this is actually like part of gameplay, and it's just like, because this is combat, but it's not really clear if this is something that's doable in the game. Same with like this bit where she's running away from the giant, and like there's these sequences which to me look clearly like gameplay. You know, you're running and then this thing gets slapped in front of you. Here you kick the trap towards him and he puts his hand in it and it catches him. Like that to me looks like part of a broader sequence of running away from the giant. That's at least what it comes off as to me. So this looks like it could be gameplay, or at least part of like, you know, the quick time event within a sequence of getting away from the giant. So it's not clear like what exactly is happening or when it's transitioning from what like running in real time versus pre-rendered or whatever else. But at the very least, it looks interesting and unique. Avowed would be cool to get more information about, because we've seen these gameplay drops. This is, of course, coming from Obsidian, the same guys that did Fallout New Vegas, The Stick of Truth, of course. They also did The Outer Worlds. And this is basically like their version of Elder Scrolls, it seems. And while it's going to be smaller in scope, it's probably going to be more AA in scale than AAA. It does seem kind of interesting. I mean, I'm not in love with the art style personally. I just don't like the mix of like really crazy colorful stuff with the kind of bland backdrops. I'd rather them commit one way or the other, but that's just me. It might come together better in the final version too, but it just, in terms of art style, I don't love it, especially like the creatures and stuff. It's just not working for me as well as I would have hoped. But otherwise, I think the game looks interesting. We'll see if combat can hold up. We'll see if branching decisions and the RPG elements are actually that good. But that's an interesting game that's going to be coming soon, and maybe we get a trailer for this or a release date for this. That would be super cool, because Xbox has got to start pumping out the exclusives. Tell you what, they really got to get on it. Yeah, it's a kaleidoscope of different styles. Yeah, just it's like it can't seem to make up its mind if it wants to be kind of more cartoony, or if it wants to be just really bright and colorful, or if it wants to be a little more photorealistic. I also can't stand the font choice. I just really don't like this. It looks very 1990s to me. That's me. Granted, I'm not a font connoisseur, but it just isn't really working for me. It's also interesting that most of this trailer is showing like enemies and combat and stuff, where normally that's where these games kind of struggle. So I'm interested if that's the new focus, or if this game is going to be more focused on like the narrative and RPG stuff, and that's where it's going to excel, in which case I hope we get more trailers showcasing that. Because The Outer Worlds, they did a really good job of showcasing the narrative and kind of the world building aspects ahead of time. Maybe this all comes together and is awesome, kind of like, Outer Worlds had some problems, to be clear. It had some quirks. It was far from perfect, but it was at the very least kind of interesting. And I think for what Obsidian was trying to do, it did the job. I don't know. The ones I would love to see would be a trailer for Hellblade that makes me fall in love with it. I would love to know about Fable. I'd love to know about Avowed and The Outer Worlds 2. And I also would love to know about South of Midnight, which is that really, really like super well themed trailer that they dropped, where like, I don't want to get copyright struck, but this one that was like straight Tim Burton / claymation, just a beautiful, beautiful sequence. It's just gorgeous to look at. What the game is actually like, who knows? I don't think anybody knows at this point, but I would love to see maybe an explanation of what gameplay is like or what kind of game this actually is, because right now it's just not really clear. And as far as I'm aware, they haven't dropped anything else, right? I don't think they have. As for other games, Hellblade 2, so far I have just found this kind of surprisingly uninformative. Like, everything they've shown has just been more of what we already kind of have seen and known. Nothing's beaten that original announcement trailer. I want to see big encounters, big boss fights. I also think the game looked really photorealistic when it dropped, and now there's been a lot of other games that look really, really good. So the game's like big selling point, which is the graphical fidelity, is now a little bit less remarkable. It still looks great, but it's just not as like far ahead as it was at one time. But like, looking at this trailer, I just am not clear if this is going to be truly different. Like, Hellblade, the original game, was good for like the novelty of it, and it was really cinematic, really beautiful and stuff, but the combat was really brain dead and very, very repetitive. Thankfully the game was really short, so it didn't matter that much. And the puzzles were interesting, but they also kind of got old, and largely the game was just a lot of walking. And most of what they're showing here seems to suggest that it's more of the same. It looks like it's the same kind of slap, slap, parry, slap, slap, dodge, slap, slap, parry kind of combat. A lot of walking. It's beautiful, but I just don't know if that's enough to carry it. And it's been a while. It's been like 5-6 years since the last game. So I'm hoping it lives up to the hype and expectations, because expectations are certainly high, but yeah, nothing they've really shown has outdone that original trailer. Personally, I just don't think it has. That original trailer was so epic, with a giant that washes up on the shore and then chases you down. I thought that was so epic and so cool. And I just want to see other big set pieces like that to sell me on the game even more. But so far, we just get a bunch of these like really tight camera angles of kind of lame combat and then a lot of walking, and not a whole lot else. And I want else. I want other stuff too, you know? Yeah, this with the big beast monster thing crawling in, this was crazy cool. When I first saw this, I think we were watching the event live, I think. I just remember being like, oh my God, that's awesome. But we haven't seen anything else quite like this yet. And it just worries me that like this is the opening of the game and it's the best part of the game, and the rest is just a lot of like really, really stilted running sequences and stuff. But man, this was so cool. You know, this was so cool. I'm hoping we hear about some of that stuff. Realistically, they probably drop some indie games, announce what's coming to Game Pass next. Maybe we get a shadow drop of some indie game or something, you know, kind of like a Pentiment or something like that. A smaller side project they've been working on that they shadow drop out of nowhere. We probably don't see the big reveals until the summer, but still, maybe they don't want to give too much away. Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I mean, it's the balancing act with every trailer ever, right? Like, you want to show enough to get people convinced that your game is good and worth checking out, but you don't want to show so much that people get the game spoiled for them. And that's been like one of those things with some recent games that are coming up, where they openly say, this is a story spoiler, so buckle up. And then they just show a story spoiler, like a pretty big one, in the trailer or in the insider video for it, because they're trying really hard to convince you that the game is worth playing and worth checking out. And it's just a difficult balancing act for everybody. Certainly not just them. So it's an age-old struggle for sure. He took my thing.